Welcome back to Huddle, the show made for and by international students navigating life far from home. I'm Chirag Agarwal, and today's guest is someone whose work sits right at the intersection of social work, community building, and the very real challenge of belonging somewhere new. Arjun Bhugra is the founder of Social Threads, a grassroots non-profit initiative here in Melbourne that runs workshops and community events to tackle loneliness in vulnerable communities. He's a qualified social worker with a Master of Social Work from Monash and is currently completing his MBA at RMIT. Arjun, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
Before we go anywhere, I want to ask you the question that will make everything else make sense. What is Social Threads, in your own words, and why does it exist?
When I was working as a social worker, I was quite shocked by the fact that a lot of people were experiencing social isolation in Melbourne, regardless of their demographics, their age, what stage of life they were at. And then I went online and I found out just about 43% of young people in Australia experience loneliness. This is a very high number. And I realized that governments can only do so much because if government has some legislation or policy or act to prevent loneliness, it's quite far removed from the problem. So I realized that grassroots solutions, which is basically for the community, by the community, would be most effective. Social Threads is basically this initiative, this grassroots initiative. And in simple terms, it's community events and free workshops or very low cost workshops to basically make social skills accessible.
Okay. Are there any upcoming events or workshops that are coming up that our viewers can maybe come and see?
Well, actually, day after tomorrow, there is um, a community dinner that my friend Chris Hope, who is the founder of 100 Coffee Movement,
Okay.
and his initiatives is about encouraging you to go have a coffee with a stranger every single week. So it's similar to mine about social connection. So him and I are working on this, and this community dinner costs $5, and it includes food and venue hire and everything. So we're doing it exactly to cover cost. We have 60 seats in total, and I think we've sold 42. So if you're keen, maybe at the end of this, if it's before Saturday, you can put the link, and I think there might still be a couple tickets left.
Oh, awesome. So the event is on Friday or Saturday?
Saturday evening.
Okay, awesome. So viewers, Saturday evening, you know what to do. Um, let's go back to the beginning. You studied commerce as an undergrad, pivoted to Master of Social Work, and eventually founded a community nonprofit. That's a journey with a lot of turns. What was the thread connecting all of it for you?
I guess when I started my commerce degree, from the beginning, I was very passionate about volunteering. When I was volunteering, the person who was supervising me was a social worker. And I said, how can I be like you? He said, you do a social work degree and then rest is history. So then I decided to take a pivot. I did a couple years of social work, working in the hospital setting in domestic violence. And one thing that you'll know about social work is it's very draining, very taxing emotionally. You see a lot of difficult things. And there's something called vicarious trauma, which is where when someone is experiencing trauma, you experience that indirectly. At first, I thought it was not true. I thought it did not exist until I actually went into the field and I realized it can burn you out. So I still wanted to be involved in social work in some sense, and that's why I was very passionate about social disconnection, being at an all-time high in Melbourne. So that's when I decided to start Social Threads, which has been around for about 8 9 months, and it's scaled quite a bit in the time that it's been around.
Okay. So connecting that to social threads, do you think international students are a population particularly vulnerable to isolation, even if they're surrounded by thousands of people on university campus?
I think they certainly are. I think they're top three demographics or groups which are most likely to be vulnerable to loneliness in Australia, and we see international students are one of them. Then there's the older people and migrants, and with international students, there's the issue of cultural barrier, the educational shift, having to find work, and as a result, not having enough time to connect with others. Um, a whole bunch of issues that international students face even with their visas. So there are a lot of psychosocial barriers as well, differences in even social conduct, and this can actually make international students or exacerbate their sense of isolation. However, what we see is that this social isolation that international students face, it kind of oscillates. Normally, at the beginning, when they first move to Australia, it's at an all-time high. Then, as they adjust, they find their footing and they find social groups, and then it gets a little bit higher when it comes exam time and whatnot. However, this is addressable with initiatives like yours, Huddle, where you have people be empowered with tools and resources to better connect.
Okay. Social Threads recently ran a workshop with 10 migrant men through India Cares Namaste Network. In the session, you used something called the ladder model, a framework for moving from small talk to genuine connection. Can you walk us through that? Because I think every person listening could use this today.
The latter model is actually very simple. It's basically going through and building rapport from 0 to 100. For example, if I want to be friends with you, um, I'm not suddenly just going to be like, hey, what's your name? Just tell me about all your childhood trauma. Just dump it on me, bro. This isn't really how we. I mean, normally when we talk about trauma, it's called trauma bonding, right? But to get to that stage, you need a bit of rapport. You aren't just going to jump into it immediately. So, what you do is you work through a ladder model, which is basically each time we meet, we kind of peel the layers of an onion. So first it's name, then tell me a little bit about you, your job, tell me about the work you do, tell me about the times that you've maybe had to circumnavigate some difficult opportunities. And basically the latter model, we if we're meeting once, we try and go through it fast. If we meet in many periods across the year, then we try and each time we meet, continue off that ladder model or that step that we continued, just so that we can build rapport faster and form that meaningful connection.
Okay, so views from what I understand is the ladder model is basically climbing each ladder step one by one. So, first initially you get to know them by the name, what they do, and then slowly you build up and get more personal, and that's how you build a relationship with them. And, if it's a one time thing, you can expedite it, or if you know there's a chance of meeting again and again, you slowly build that relationship. Is that right?
Exactly. And I know in theory it sounds very simple because it is, but this is where these social spaces and social connection circles are very beneficial because we have this theory, we have this knowledge, and when we apply it to practice, that's when we're getting the light bulb moments. We are in a different social dynamic for us to practice it with different people. And this is very beneficial because it gives us the actual knowledge and tools on ground to practice so that when we go back into the community, we immediately sense that belonging and we're able to practice it in like in real time.
Okay, wow. That's a nice way to, conceptualize the whole building relationship thing. Okay. You also co-launched a park gathering that recently brought 37 strangers together in a park. Volleyball, frisbees, drama games, and by the end, people who had arrived alone were sitting together like old friends. What happens in that kind of space that doesn't happen at a typical networking event?
Would you agree that we all want some social connection in life, right?
Yes. Yes.
And if I say, Chirag, I've organized a gathering,
Mm-hmm.
50 people,
Mm-hmm.
go and talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
You'd enjoy it, but I think you'd be a little bit daunted because you're just kind of chucked in the deep end.
Yeah.
What I noticed is that human beings crave structure. They
Mm-hmm.
crave structure in socializing. So
Mm-hmm.
as soon as you say, hey guys, we're going to do XYZ, we're going to do some drama games, and then we're going to do some volleyball, and then we're going to do some social icebreakers, people are automatically going to open up because that pressure of having to follow a structure is taken out of their hands. All they have to do is follow the structure that's given to them and based on that socialize. So when people are given structure, like in this park meetup where we had volleyball, frisbee, drama games, we noticed that there was something that shifted, and that was that people were sitting together like old friends because they were able to follow a social structure without having to worry about the ifs, buts, and ands. So, if you provide a space for people to follow some kind of a framework to socialize, we'll see that the rapport and the ability to go through that social ladder is much faster.
And why particularly games like frisbees, volleyball, apart from other things? Why did you choose a place where people can like have fun together? What is there was any reasoning behind that?
Normally, games is the lubricant or the social lubricant through which connection is made. It's much easier to make friends through an activity, and as a byproduct of it, is there a thumbs up coming?
Yeah,
It's much easier for friends to bond over an activity, or for people to form connections over an activity, than it is face to face, because the activity is the social conduit through which connections are made.
yeah. It reduces the overthinking of how do I talk to this person? Am I coming off nice? Am I coming off rude? But then in a game environment, we have a goal. We need to win or we need to have fun, where it's all light instead of just like heaviness on what do you do, what do you have, is there any benefit of me talking to you? Where here's like we're just having fun, and then you become friends, and then that's when you later grow and see how you can build this relationship. Okay, that's pretty solid idea, pretty cool initiative. Now let's get really practical. If one of our listeners is sitting in this room right now, they've been in Melbourne for 6 months, they've tried to put themselves out there, and they still haven't found their people, what would you say to them?
Oh, well, first I would ask, what does trying to put yourself out there mean? For some people, maybe it'll be putting themselves out there passively, maybe it'll be putting themselves out there on social media, or maybe it'll be going out to try new meetup groups that they haven't tried before. So I would kind of have them question, are they going to a place where other people would also put themselves out there to socialize? If not, then maybe pivot a little bit with your tactic. I'd also say that as an adult, it's very difficult to make friends. So I would encourage them to keep putting themselves out there in volume, in frequency, because one way or another, you will find one or two people to connect with. And once you have that, they will be able to actually expand and branch out because they will introduce you to others. So it just takes one or two new people to connect with, and that's enough.
And that's where his event on Saturday comes in. It's the perfect networking opportunity where you can go and maybe make one friend that could be, the next, you can then make friends after that as well. That friend could have another friend, and that's how you build a community.
It's a snowball effect, and like we're saying, like at the community dinner, and I'm not trying to plug my event, but if you're going to places, go to places where there's a social structure, where there's a framework, and they're like, okay, guys, now we're gonna do this, now we're gonna do this, because it takes the pressure off you for social initiative, and it allows you to just have fun through activities, and as a result, as a byproduct, you're able to form connections.
Okay, that's very well said. You wrote, if you make the weight someone is carrying even 1% lighter with a smile, a kind word, or just being there, you're doing a tremendous service. That's a very low bar for contribution. From your point of view, what international students can give to the community?
I think one of the best things you can do is volunteer. Whatever you're passionate about, if you're passionate about mental health, volunteer. If you're passionate about maybe animal rights, volunteer at RSPCA. Whatever it is, just spend maybe 1 hour a week volunteering, or if that's too much, 1 hour a month volunteering. Because in Australian culture, that's also one of the ways that people form bonds with the community. So when we're talking about you, the previous question was, if you're struggling to put yourself to make friends and you're putting yourself out there, volunteer as well. You can make great friends through volunteering because you're already meeting on a common basis of appreciation for this cause. And what we notice is that in friendships forming, when you have more things in common, it's much easier to form rapport. If you're passionate about whatever it is, maybe international student rights, volunteer at some international students organization. And you're much more likely to form meaningful friendships as a result, and actually form a greater uh, bond with the community at large.
And to give some credibility to what Arjun said, Huddle was born out of this whole idea. We were all strangers in the beginning. We just came to an event that helped us create a startup for a UNSDG problem, and we had a common solution. And after that, we became friends. Like we're still continuing the program after we're saying, no, we actually like working with each other. And then we have the event ended last week, yet we're still continuing this project because of the relationship it carried and how it's going to help other people form relationships. So, very well said. Now let's get to our famous lightning round, okay? The first thing that comes to your mind, just say it, okay? Best place in Melbourne to strike up a conversation with a stranger.
Oh, that's easy. The train.
The train. Oh, why the train?
But, well, if you're extroverted like me, you just say like, "Hey, what book are you reading?" Or like, "Hey,
Yeah.
that those are cool shoes. Where do you get them?" Easy.
Wow, okay. And that works?
Oh, always.
Oh, wow, okay. Biggest myth about making friends as an adult.
That you're the only one that struggles because everyone struggles with this.
Okay. Small talk, necessary evil or underrated skill?
Underrated skill.
One resource you recommend to an international student feeling lonely?
Life.
Okay. Finish this sentence. Community is?
Everything.
Okay. And to Arjun, this has been exactly what I hoped. Honest, practical, and human. Where can our listeners find you on social threads?
They can connect with me on LinkedIn, Arjun Bhugra, and also there's a Social Threads website, www.socialthreads.au. And if they have any questions, because I also have a YouTube channel, if they want to
Okay.
know about social work as a profession, they can search my YouTube channel, Arjun Bhugra, and I have, I think, many hours of content on social work in Australia because I know that the social work course is something that's in demand, so a lot of people are doing it. And many people have actually reached out to me through the YouTube channel, and I've had many conversations with people who wanted advice and whatever, and it really filled my heart to provide all of this advice and be of value to other people. So these are three ways that people can reach out to me.
Okay, so we will put his LinkedIn, his YouTube channel, and his website in our description so the viewers can quickly look at it. And as you said, a lot of people doing a social work, just like myself, I'm also doing masters in social work. So, based on your experience, what's one advice you would give to a student who's starting social work, as a career that's gonna, what would you say to them?
For someone doing social work, I would say that if you're studying it, make very good use of your placement because the placement is normally the way that you will get your foot into the professional world. Um, a lot of the people that do their placements, their first job that they get is at the agency where they did their placement. And the reason is because you are already trained in that sense. So they find it very easy to hire someone who's already had on the ground experience.
Yeah.
Uh, with this being said, try and form a very good relationship with your supervisor at your placement, because this could very easily be your first paid job.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Arjun, for the wonderful podcast and a very insightful insights. I think a lot of our viewers will definitely learn from this. And to everyone listening, if this episode landed for you, share with someone who might be feeling a little disconnected right now. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is say, I heard this and I thought of you. Until next time, look out for each other. Thank you so much. Thank you, Arjun.
Peace.
Bye.